So today, I kind of wanted to just talk about like a day in the life of Porsche ownership, or like old classic Porsche car ownership. And thought it'd be fun to take this car for a drive, go fill it up with gas, and while the battery's working, see how it goes. So, car might die. As you guys have known, we've had quite a few issues with it, but we'll see how it goes. Hey, what's up guys? So today, kind of wanted to talk about owning this car. We often talk about the problems, and usually I'm in my basement talking about this, but we often talk about what's wrong with the car and all this other stuff, which, there's a lot of things wrong with this car. But I wanted to get it out, drive, talk about it, talk about how this car feels. This is a really unique opportunity in the fact that I don't think there's a lot of people who are documenting these cars enough and giving me a day in the life of. I mean, this was something that I was kind of looking forward to when I was going and purchasing this car, is from a noob's perspective, a new car owner, a new car person's perspective, somebody who didn't grow up around cars. What if I wanted a classic car, and what if I'm not what if I didn't know how to drive manual and I'm getting right into some of these harder cars to learn? So it's kind of one of those things where, I want to dumb this down in a sense, you don't have to be super knowledgeable to, love guys waving, to really own these cars. And we're about to go over a dip here. So, having said that, there's a lot of things that you, as a non-car enthusiast, when you're buying an older car, you just don't really know. Especially, I'm 22, so, the oldest car I've owned has been, oh, let's bump the brightness here. The oldest car I've owned has been, I don't know, 2000s, and it's all been automatics. I've owned one manual car, and that was a Subaru Forester, right? So, I haven't owned that many, I've only owned one other manual car, and let alone an old car like this. And this is a 76, so it's got 40 years on it. It's twice my age. But I love the aesthetic, and I don't want to let this aesthetic die, man. I just kind of want to keep it alive. I kind of want to have a lot of young kids my age keep these cars alive. So let's go talk about this car. Let's talk about the ownership. Let's give you guys the experience of what it's like. Maybe you're a young kid, you want to get back into these cars that you didn't grow up with, but you have a kinship towards, kind of like I do with this 911. I say there's a lot of people who want to gatekeep you. There's a lot of people who want to gatekeep anybody, but don't let that get in the way. I learned this car on my own. Of course, I looked up tutorials on how to drive manuals, but me and this car are intimate in the sense that I have learned it, and in a sense, it's learned me, or I've just broken it so many times that it just doesn't care anymore. So. But yeah, let's fill it up with gas and talk about it. Something to take note is this car won't tell you when to stop. You kind of just got to go and eyeball it. So some things to note when you're fueling an old 911 is, at least mine doesn't tell me when it's ready. So I kind of just eyeball it, keep track of miles, see where I'm at, and then, and then go from there. So the fuel gauge, I mean, who knows if that thing works? Sometimes you're not going to get a car that tells you, well, kind of the basic things like how much fuel you have left. But for the most part, you can get that fixed, and you probably should, and I should. I've been kind of working on just getting this car on the road, so, you know, priorities, am I right? It was a challenge, man. It was like a challenge to drive this thing, and she just died. Shoot. Go around. See, this is the problem. Go around. Kind of an embarrassing moment right there. Died on a hill, and again, that's just in part to do with the alternator not being where it needs to be. You know, you're gonna have moments like that, and that's kind of like a humbling experience to have. Obviously, like modern cars, you don't have that issue, but in this one, you just kind of gotta get better at it. I don't know if that was necessarily a lot of my error or the car's error. It's you know, that's where you have to kind of figure it out, but you learn your car as you go along. I'm actually kind of glad that happened on camera, because, you know, to be honest, it's like really embarrassing. You know, you're sitting there dead in traffic. It's like you don't know how to drive your car type of thing, and to be fair, I don't all the way yet. So you know, you get moments like that all the time though, and at least I do. And so, well, I shouldn't say all the time. I get them once in a while, enough to where, like, every now and again when I'm driving, especially on a hill like this, and I'm feeling like a little bit rushed, like I'll slip up or something. In that case, the car died rolling to the stop. So again, like, probably the alternator issue is playing up with that, and it's exacerbating my lack of knowledge on how to drive these cars, but or my lack of experience, I should say, on how to drive these cars. But, you know, that's just par for the course when it comes to a non-perfect, non-functioning, not fully functioning car. So, you know, again, you know, a little bit of that is experience, a little bit of that is the car itself. And when you're driving an old car like this, you kind of just gotta figure out which is which, and, you know, hope for the best. So, in fact, I think we just died again. Nope. I got it. Whew, okay. All right, guys, we have secluded ourselves on a dirt road in like a construction zone, so that way we're not bothering too many people and stalling on stop signs. But I wanted to take the time and really dive into, again, the purpose and the meat and bones of this video, showing you what the experience is like from a 24-year-old. Again, I'm half the age of this car, and I think a lot of owners could be. You know, there's a lot of people out there who are questioning buying an older car, and I want to encourage you to do that. I highly recommend you do that, and there's a few reasons why. Number one, it pushes you out of your comfort zone. Driving an old car when you're like used to the modern amenities, you take so many things for granted, and you realize how manual a manual car can be. And it's more than just the 2 feet and 2 hands kind of approach to it that you got to take to these cars. It's really paying attention to how the car's reacting, how it sounds, how it's responding. Like, I know the gauges don't work, but like, even if they do, you know, you kind of have that glimpse of like, is that working? Yeah, I think so. It really takes everything out of me to look and drive this car, all of my attention, that is. And that's reason number 2, I would say, is you put the phone away. I'm not going to talk about and grandstand about how my generation's on their phone all the time, whatever. Like, I produce media, I produce content, I'm a marketer by day, so like, I get it. You know, I'm on some side of that fence, but this car helps me separate. This car helps me get away from all that stress, all that work. It makes me put the phone away and just focus and just go where I need to go, and go there with a fun smile on my face. I think if you're kind of in my boat where you need that separation, you need something to take you away from just the modern compression that is, you know, all work. I mean, I've got a job and then, you know, arguably a lot of other work to do, and then this channel that I'm trying to build out, and there's all these projects I'm trying to do for people in the off hours, that it takes a lot, and you know, for the last 4 weekends I have been traveling. The next weekend here I'm going on another trip over to Ohio, right? So I don't get much time to separate from the phone, from the electronics, and this car forces me to do that and pay attention. And so I love it for that, because it gives me that separation in a very short amount of time, and I get to feel at peace. So reason number 3, keep these classics alive, guys. I want to see more of these cars out here. They're art pieces. They shouldn't be rotting away in museums, and that's okay. Like, there'll always be a museum piece. There's always going to be a perfect, you know, 100-mile, perfect edition, whatever car. Like, there will always be that. Personally, it's not my style. Like, it's cool to see that. That's great. But how does that car perform? What does that look like? What does that feel like? It transports me back through time, and in a way, you know, you connect with, I'm not going to say you're connecting with your ancestors or something like that, but you know, you get to connect on a way with machines that the literature, the driving experience of the past, it all kind of clicks. It makes sense a little bit more when you realize how much effort was put into racing and driving a race car back then or stuff. And I'm not saying there's no effort in driving a race car right now. I'm just saying, like, you know, you have this certain appreciation for motorsports as a whole and how far it's come and the people who have been in it. And there's that appreciation you get for these cars. I think you should experience that as often as you can. The only way you're going to experience something like that is owning it. Brings me to reason number 4. I want to see as many variations in the 911 as possible. There are RWBs, which are like the JDM, you know, rice cars. There are off-roader safaris, which is what I fall into, I'm going to do with this car. Then you've got your classics, you know, the people who are purists. And then you've got your literal art pieces. And I'm talking, like, if you go look up carbon liveries, like, oh my gosh, like, the interiors of those cars are just art pieces, or Gunther Works, right? They're performance and art pieces. Like, I want to see as many variations of this car as possible. I don't think it's done, and I think we still have ways to go. And personally, I'm going to push it on the safari side as much as I can. I just want to see what this car can do in all aspects of life, right? It's a fun car on and off the road. It's a great chassis. It's an engine, a chassis, and 4 wheels. It's perfect, you know. It's the perfect baseline. This is the best thing that came out of Germany in a long time. I'm trying to think. I do like some H&K stuff, but no, this is the best thing that came out of Germany, and I want to keep that alive. I want to keep that going. And number 5, it's really humbling. And this is really an important point, that I bought this car and I didn't know I'd have this experience. I bought this car, and you could go either one or two ways. You could buy this car, not know how to drive it, and keep it locked up and never bring it out. Or you can buy this car, not know how to drive it, and learn and progress and take your beatings. I call this car Bounce Back Betty, and that's because, you know, of all the crap in life, like, every time I get ahead, I feel like I fall back and then I bounce back, you know, like, this car is in perfect embodied that. And when we stalled right on that stop sign, that's a perfect, like, analogy to this car. It happens every now and again, and crap will happen every now and again, but you've got to keep calm. You've got to just, it's okay. The function's going to work. You know the functions, you know, wave on people by. Yeah, you're going to be embarrassed. You're going to be the ha-ha idiot who doesn't know how to drive the man. You're like, whatever. But, like, at the end of the day, you're the one in the car, not them. And it's a humbling experience to just go through that occasionally until you stop, until it doesn't happen anymore. And I don't think it ever not happens, right? Even guys at the shop over at P&B have told me, oh, they stall out cars sometimes. So it's never not gonna happen, but cherish the moments it does, cherish the time it does, cherish the energy and effort it takes to learn the car, cherish those moments and those humbling experiences, because honestly, a lot of you guys need it. I'm not gonna rag on my generation too much, but a lot of you guys need humbling, let me tell you, just occasionally. I need it too. I'm not saying I'm perfect, I'm just saying we all could use it every now and again. So anyway, guys, I really appreciate your viewership. It means the world to me. I really hope I encourage you to buy one of these cars. Buy a car that's twice your freaking age. I don't care. Like, you do you. And if it's not for you, it's not for you. That's fine. There's really cool cars out there, and go enjoy them. There's really cool stuff out there. Go enjoy it. But do it because you love it, not because you feel pressure from your community, your people you're around, the peers. Like I always say, do what you would do in the dark. Do what you would do when no one's looking. Do what you would do when it's just you and maybe, if you believe, maybe you're God, like do you alone and see what happens. Personally, I picked this car. I drive it alone. If I was the last man on earth, I'd still pick this car because there's no more ego with it. It's just an art piece. It's just art for me. And the fact that it comes with one of the best communities out there, that's a bonus. That's a really nice bonus. I can go take this car to Porsche Drives and hang out with some of the coolest people I've ever met. And that's pretty sweet. But anyway, guys, go buy one. These are your top 5 reasons, or your day in the life of, kind of wrapped up on one video. If you like this video, guys, please let me know. Leave a like down below. It really helps me determine what videos to make. Because, I look at the analytics, I see the data, I see what you are wanting to see while I have this car and while I'm alive. Frankly, let's document it. Let's tell some stories. Let's give you the experience of ownership with this car. And so who knows? I might not be here tomorrow. That's always a possibility. I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying, like, I count every day as a blessing, and it's good to be alive. And it's good to have a car like this. So while it lasts, before I crash and burn or something, let's film what we can. Let's make what we can, so that way this hopefully encourages future generations to get a car like this. So anyway, guys, I'll catch you in the next episode. See you later. We got a cool helicopter coming in.